This episode contains content that may cause discomfort or trigger certain individuals. Murder in My Bedroom encourages listener discretion, especially for those who are sensitive to graphic cases, cases involving sexual violence, and discussion of drug use. This trial was live streamed on the Law and Crime Trials YouTube channel. All supported sources linked below, including the link to the playlist with all of this case's content provided on their channel. In the town of Green Bay, Wisconsin, a horrific case of loss, addiction, and violence unfolds today as Taylor Schabusiness' life takes a dark turn. The murder and dismemberment of Taylor's lover, Shad Thyrion, sent massive waves of shock into the community, spreading nationwide. The trial revealed a chilling confession and a web of darkness, leaving every attendee in horror, seeking justice for Shad and this heinous crime. Hey guys, I'm Jordan, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Murder in My Bedroom. If you're new, welcome. It would mean a lot if you subscribe. Last episode, we discussed the Gilgo Beach serial murders, and if you haven't yet, be sure to check it out. I just want to quickly apologize for the unannounced break. With episode 8 marking 2 months of Murder in My Bedroom, I just thought I'd take a little to recharge, but don't worry, Murder in My Bedroom is back full force. I have a pretty packed episode in store for us today, so let's jump right on in. Please remember that this is a real case that deals with real victims and real families. So I ask that you please be respectful to the family, friends, and the community of Green Bay. We begin in November of 1997 when Marla and Arturo Coronado welcomed a daughter, Taylor Denise Coronado. Sadly, at only age 11, tragedy struck when Taylor lost her mother. She would go on to lose her only sibling when her brother AJ was in a motorcycle crash and died at the age of 22 in July of 2022. But taking it back again, after the death of her mother, her father Arturo remarried. However, the marriage fell apart after he was accused of sexually assaulting a minor in his care. The victim was a relative of Coronado's then wife who filed for divorce just a few weeks later. The alleged victim in the case was just 13 when she claimed that Coronado sexually assaulted her in her bedroom. The complaint initially charged Coronado with 2 counts of first-degree sexual assault with a person under the age of 16 by force or violence, but the district attorney made the decision to reduce the charges to 2 counts of second-degree sexual assault. Second-degree sexual assault of a child in Wisconsin is classified as sexual contact or sexual intercourse with a person who has not attained the age of 16 years. In his deal with prosecutors, Coronado agreed to a no-contest plea to one of those 2 counts, and the second count was dismissed. A no-contest plea basically means that you are not publicly admitting to guilt, but you are agreeing that the facts of your case are valid. You are agreeing to accept the conviction and the consequences of the charges. Arturo Coronado is now serving out a 12-year sentence for second-degree sexual assault of a child. Taylor eventually went on to meet a man named Warren Schabusiness. They fell in love, and on Valentine's Day 2020, they sealed their fate and got married. The two gave birth to a toddler son who is living with their grandparents in Texas. Warren, whose legal surname is Schabu, is serving time after being convicted of federal drug charges. According to the probable cause affidavit filed in his case, he conspired with others to distribute and possess with intent to distribute a mixture of a substance containing in excess of 500 grams of a mixture of a substance containing a detectable amount of methamphetamine. That conviction came after Warren agreed to a deal in which he entered a guilty plea to the charge that he knowingly and intentionally possessed with intent to distribute. The charges stem from a traffic stop on November 13, 2020, during which police discovered 46 grams of methamphetamine that a witness said belonged to Warren. He is now serving his sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution, FCI, Oxford, a medium security facility in Wisconsin with federal records showing a July 25, 2024 release date. In a Facebook post, Warren wrote that he was framed and that he beat a conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine charge and pled to a possession with intent to deliver charge because it was the best deal. He also noted in that post that he would be out by January of that next year, if not sooner, because of the First Step Act, a bill passed by Congress in 2018, which allows inmates to earn time credits for completion of reduction programs and or productive activities and expands opportunities for inmate placement placement into residential re-entry centers or home confinement, among other opportunities. I include all of this just to express Warren's relationship with social media. He'll go on to make more posts in relation to this case, which we'll get into. So with what we know now, it's clear that Taylor didn't have the best influences around her. And I'm not excusing her actions, I'm just painting the picture. Taylor's serious legal troubles began after she met her husband Warren, with her first felony happening on June 21st, 2020. On that day, Officer Mackenzie Tesk responded to a request for a welfare check on a female that just knocked on a man's door and seemed to be under the influence of narcotics. The complaint alleged that when the police officer approached Taylor, she asked, "Why do I have to stop for you?" Officer Tesk then walked up to Taylor and asked her what was going on, and she stated that she was not sure and that she was on a different planet right now. Taylor said she had just shot up earlier in the day and showed Officer Tesk her fresh track marks on her arm. When another officer arrived on the scene, things allegedly took a more violent turn. Taylor started to get argumentative with the officers and started to walk away. An officer stopped Taylor from walking away because she started walking into oncoming traffic. The officer says in the complaint that he again stopped Taylor from walking into traffic, and that's when he claims Taylor started kicking him. That's when the other officer came in to assist, and she also attempted to kick him. Taylor was charged with resisting arrest and battery on a member of law enforcement. She entered a no-contest plea to the battery charge and was put on probation for 3 years, while also being ordered to undergo psychological evaluation. Taylor got in trouble with the law just 2 months later when she allegedly led an officer on a high-speed chase after he attempted to pull her over. The complaint alleges that after attempting to pull over a speeding car, the driver accelerated while running red lights and at one point almost hitting a biker. After a few minutes, cops decided to try a pit maneuver, claiming in the complaint that the driver of the car was still continuing their driving behavior. High rate of speed, swerving all over the lanes, and not caring for any other drivers except for themselves. The officers then say they watched Taylor manage to avoid the pit maneuver and take off into a parking lot at the complex where her father lived. Officers managed to grab her when she exited the car. They then proceeded to search the vehicle. In the front passenger compartment, an officer observed a little black kit. This kit contained a syringe that had a crystal-like substance still on the plunger end, as well as portions of the plunger itself. The officer also observed a little baggie that contained a crystal-like substance that subsequently tested positive for methamphetamine, in addition to an off-white rubber elastic band having been located in the vehicle. This offense resulted in charges of knowingly fleeing or eluding an officer, bail jumping for not adhering to the guidelines of her probation from her previous offense in June, possession of drug paraphernalia, and obstruction of an officer. In a deal with prosecutors, she entered a no-contest plea to the charges of fleeing and obstructing an officer. In January 2022, she received 2 years of probation for eluding police and 3 months in local jail for bail jumping. That local sentence got reduced to house arrest. However, just 1 month later, Taylor murdered her new lover. Shad Thyrion was born September 7, 1997. He worked with his father and grandfather in a family business. Shad enjoyed camping, games, and spending time with his family. He was a very kind and compassionate person who often thought of others before himself. He was described as a talented artist, and he also enjoyed wood carving. He was only 24 at the time of the horrifying murder. On February 21st of 2022, Taylor picked Shad up from his mother's home around 9:30 p.m. A friend of the couple joined them before they headed to an apartment where the three smoked marijuana. Taylor told police that she and Shad had also smoked methamphetamine and injected trazodone. Taylor and Shad eventually returned to his mother's home and spent the day there while Miss Packenick was away. Taylor claimed in an interview with police that she and Shad used chains to choke one another as foreplay. This time, she said, she and Shad put metal chains on each other. Shad reportedly laid face down in bed before Taylor went crazy and repeatedly choked him despite the fact that he was coughing blood and turned purple. Taylor allegedly went on to tell law enforcement that she continued having intercourse with the dead body for a period of time because she enjoyed it.
And you also said that you enjoyed it, right? And I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
And then gathered kitchen knives with the intention to dismember Shad and keep all of his body parts. But she got lazy. Taylor proceeded to use a bucket and a tote bag to collect Shad's blood, which she then used to shower with. Dane County Medical Examiner Dr. Vincent Tranquita also testified in court about the lack of blood at the murder scene.
We have complete decapitation. In other words, it's going completely through the neck, and the head is separate from the remainder of the body.
We have decapitation, we have dismemberment, we have transection of the torso. Subsequently, internally, the body has been eviscerated. In other words, we have entered inside the body through various cuts through the abdomen and between the ribs where the victim's organs have been removed, largely one by one. Ms. Packenick, Shad's mother, told the court that she was woken up by a loud knock on her front door around 2:30 a.m. on February 23, 2022. She went to the basement to check whether Shad was there, and after not finding him, she went upstairs and found the bucket with part of her son's remains inside. Ms. Packenick and her boyfriend Steve Hendricks immediately dialed 911.
Very positive my son's head is in a bucket, a yellow bucket in my basement.
What makes you think that?
Because I looked in the bucket.
And what did you see?
Exactly what I told you.
So I'm dumbfounded. Didn't believe her. Thought she was having a mental issue or something.
At 3:24 a.m., police arrive at the home on Stony Brook Lane. The discovery of Shad's body was just absolutely horrific, and I just want to give you guys another warning before I go more into the details. I have no clue what is happening, but my girl said she found a severed head of her son in the basement in a bucket. I am freaked out. Body cam video of the officers responding to the scene shows them searching the basement of the home and securing the crime scene after confirming that a human head was inside the bucket.
Lifted the towel off and there was in fact a human severed head in the bucket.
I went downstairs. At the bottom of the stairs to the right, there was a green bucket with a shower towel on top of it, just to verify we had an actual head in the bucket. I lifted the towel off, and there was in fact a human head, severed in the bucket. Green Bay police officer Alex Wanish testified during the trial. Later on, investigators would discover his genitalia in the bucket as well. The rest of Shad's body parts were found placed inside plastic bags and cardboard boxes in the basement and in the minivan at the property. Authorities eventually located Taylor, who had removed a GPS tracker from her ankle with literally blood on her hands.
Schabusiness had blood on her hands when she was arrested. So
you got blood on your hands here, blood on your hands.
Detective Graff testified that Taylor had initially claimed to have blacked out while choking Shad, but then allegedly admitted thinking that she regained consciousness and thought she was already this far, so she just kept going. Taylor stated she thought it would take 3 to 5 minutes for Shad to die. Taylor stated she enjoyed choking him and made comments to detectives asking if they knew what it was like to love something so much that you kill it. Taylor allegedly indicated the crime scene and told officers that they would have fun trying to find all the organs. These are all statements in which a jury would hear at the trial. Taylor entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity entered by her former attorney. Her attorney said at the time that Taylor has been diagnosed as bipolar in the past and that she has been getting mental health treatment since she was in the 7th grade. A physician appointed by the court found that she was able to stand trial. Taylor actually attacked her previous attorney during a pretrial hearing before a deputy wrestled her to the ground. This was all captured on live footage, by the way. In a post shared just after Taylor attacked her attorney in court, Taylor's husband, Warren, wrote on Facebook, "I know what she's being accused of is not who she is. Not only has her addiction played a big role, but so does her mental background, as well as postpartum depression. I just want my wife to get help, professional help, because it's what she deserves. Like I said, my prayers go out to my wife. I love her more than anything in this world, and this will never change no matter what." He also posted a letter in November of last year claiming that his wife is not to blame for the murder of Shad, but rather the drugs he alleges were given to her that day. And I know what you're thinking. And I know what you may be thinking, because I have the same thoughts. So was Warren okay with Shad and Taylor being a thing? Honestly, we don't know, and I think the only people that do know is Taylor and Warren themselves. Taylor's trial consisted of 2 phases. In the first phase of the trial, the jury had to find her guilty of killing, dismembering, and sexually assaulting Shad Thyrion. The second phase dealt with her mental state, with the defense claiming that Taylor was suffering from a mental disease or defect at the time of the crime. During the trial, the jury heard the horrific 911 call made by the boyfriend of Shad's mom.
Very positive my son's head is in a bucket, a yellow bucket in my basement. I looked in the bucket.
And what did you see?
Exactly what I told you.
Okay, where's the rest of the body at?
No idea.
Taylor's arrest, captured on police body cam footage, was also shown to the jury.
Blood on your hands here, blood on your hands.
The jury also saw how Taylor confessed to the crime based on her account of what happened playing out in the video of her interrogation with police.
He was strangling him. She played with his penis after he was dead.
Oh, yeah.
What did you do with the head?
The head I put in that bucket, that black bucket,
Black bucket?
with the blanket on top.
Okay. And then where'd you leave it?
Leave the head? The head's still in the bucket. It's right by the stairs. All of them.
And you also said that you enjoyed it, right? And I enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
I started pulling and I don't know, and then I just didn't stop. I don't know why, I just didn't stop. I didn't stop. An overwhelming amount of crime scene photos were presented at the trial, including photographs of bloody kitchen knives consistent with the knives missing in the kitchen, the metal dog collar used to brutally end Shad's life, and the various blood-soaked furniture pieces and areas around the home. The jury also got to hear the opinion of experts and the depositions of law enforcement agents who were present at the scene. Ultimately, Taylor was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault in the death of Shad Thyrion at the house on Stony Brook Lane in February 2022. She faces life in prison as Wisconsin has had no death penalty for over 150 years, longer than any other state in the United States. The decision came down to a 12-member jury of 8 women and 4 men. They observed days of testimony and heard from dozens of witnesses that resulted in 2 relatively quick deliberations, running roughly 30 minutes each. The jurors never heard from Taylor directly as she maintained her right to remain silent during both phases of the trial. For 2 days, Judge Thomas Walsh denied defense motions for a mistrial. After the jury was dismissed, Judge Walsh heard arguments to exclude evidence of Taylor's internet searches on Milwaukee serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, who dismembered his victims, and about Satanism. The defense questioned the relevance of the evidence and said it would prejudice the jury against Taylor. Before bringing in the jury that following Wednesday morning, Judge Walsh brought 2 experts to the witness stand to ask follow-up questions about the evidence from Taylor's phone, including internet searches and photos. Specifically, the searches about Dahmer, including Jeffrey Dahmer walking into court all sexy, and Jeffrey Dahmer's butt, and photos of him. The judge wanted to clarify how photos that were on the phone could be accessed by issuing a search warrant to Google. A police expert testified that Google syncs photographs between the gallery app on a smartphone and its services, or the cloud. The court also clarified the dates on some of the photos that were retrieved. Walsh ultimately decided to allow the Dahmer evidence, saying whatever he's received is relevant to the case. He ruled he doesn't want any further references made to the searches of a satanic nature, and any evidence the jury sees will need references to Satanism redacted. In the defense's second motion for a mistrial, they claimed a juror told a bailiff they received a text from a friend out of state saying they were on TV and looked dapper. Jurors aren't permitted to be shown as a requirement of the media covering the trial and to allow live streaming to occur. It's a huge no-no. A review of the video showed there was no occasion the jury had been shown on the live stream or anywhere else, said Judge Walsh. The judge reminded jurors of the rules and to avoid any discussion of the trial and to report any further incidents. It has been reported that court employees will review security videos to see if anyone in the gallery recorded the jurors, but to my knowledge there were no further public statements on that matter. Despite multiple motions for mistrial, Taylor Schabusiness is expected to be back in court for sentencing on September 26, 2023 for the murder of Shad Thyrion. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Murder in My Bedroom. Today's sources are Lockhart Media, WBay News, New York Post, The Independent, Inside Edition, and Fox 11 Online. I left some of the more disturbing details out, so be sure to check out the sources if you would like to read up on more of the graphic details. All sources linked below. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed this episode and follow Murder in My Bedroom on all social media. Check out the link in the description to find out how you can become a Murder in My Bedroom member. That concludes today's episode, and I'll see you guys guys next week. Special thanks to Fessian Studios for the royalty-free soundtracks. You can listen to Murder in My Bedroom in the car, on the treadmill, or even in the shower. Be sure to check out Murder in My Bedroom on Spotify Podcast, Apple Podcast, or any other podcast platforms you may listen on. Please subject case requests to murderinmybedroompodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. We're done.